She's not cold. She's not that into you. She's not broken, and neither is your relationship. She's waiting for something you haven't given her yet, and it has almost nothing to do with what you think it is. Most men spend years chasing a version of desire that only exists in movies. The lightning bolt, the instant spark, the she wants it before anything happens fantasy. And when it doesn't show up, they assume something is wrong with her, with them, with the relationship. But here's what almost nobody tells you. For most women, desire doesn't come first, it comes second. It arrives after something else happens, something most men skip completely. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that something is. And once you see it, you will never look at attraction the same way again. If you're watching this, you're probably one of a few kinds of men. Maybe you're in a relationship that used to feel electric, and now it feels like you're both roommates who happen to share a bed. Maybe you're dating someone new, and you keep hitting this invisible wall where things feel warm but never quite ignite. Or maybe you've been told directly or indirectly that you're not doing it for her, and you have no idea what it even means. I want to say something to you before we go any further. This isn't a video about tricks. It's not about becoming someone you're not, memorizing lines, or performing confidence you don't feel. If that's what you came for, you're going to be disappointed, and honestly, you'd be wasting your time because that approach doesn't work long-term anyway. What I'm about to walk you through is rooted in how female arousal actually functions, not how pop culture says it functions. And the gap between those two things is enormous. Most men are operating off a model of desire built for men, and then they wonder why it fails over and over with the women in their lives. Here's the promise. By the time this video ends, you're going to understand the actual mechanism, the psychological on switch, that has to activate before a woman feels genuine desire. Not performed interest, not politeness, real, felt arousal. And once you understand this switch, you'll be able to spot almost instantly whether you've been building it or accidentally shutting it off. I also want to plant two things in your mind right now because we're going to come back to them. First, the switch I'm talking about is not something you say. It's something she has to feel cumulatively over time, and I'll show you exactly how that accumulation works. Second, there is one extremely common behavior, something most men have been taught is romantic, even desirable, that quietly kills this switch faster than almost anything else. I'm going to name it directly in a few minutes, and it might sting a little. Stay with me anyway. Why does this matter so much? Because desire isn't just about sex. It's the clearest signal of whether a woman feels safe, seen, and genuinely chosen by you. When that switch is off, everything downstream suffers. The way she talks to you, the way she shows up, how much of herself she gives you. When it's on, the entire relationship changes texture, conversations get easier, touch feels different. She stops performing and starts choosing you over and over without needing to be convinced. So let's get into what this switch actually is, because once you see it, you'll realize it's been hiding in plain sight the entire time. Here's what most men believe about desire. It's spontaneous. It shows up out of nowhere, like a light flipping on. You see someone attractive, and boom, arousal. That's how it tends to work for men, biologically speaking, and so most men assume it works the same way for the women they're with. It usually doesn't. Sex researcher Rosemary Basson studied this specifically and found that for a large share of women, especially in established relationships, desire is responsive, not spontaneous. Meaning, it doesn't come first and lead to connection. Connection comes first, and desire follows in response to it. Read that again because it flips the entire model most men are operating on. You're not supposed to wait for her to feel it and then connect with her. You create the conditions: emotional safety, attention, being fully present, and desire shows up afterward as a response to those conditions being met. This is why a man can be objectively attractive, financially stable, even genuinely kind, and still watch a woman go cold on him. He's checking boxes that matter to him, but he's not building the actual precondition her body and mind are waiting for. So what is that precondition? Psychologist Emily Nagoski, who spent years synthesizing the research on this, describes it using what's called the dual control model. There are two systems running in parallel, an accelerator and a brake. Most advice out there is obsessed with the accelerator, how to be more charming, more attractive, more exciting. Almost nobody talks about the brake. The brake is what shuts desire down, even when the accelerator is being pressed. And here's the part that changes everything. For most women, the brake is far more sensitive than the accelerator. It doesn't take much to activate it. Stress, feeling unheard, feeling like she has to manage your emotions instead of you managing hers, feeling like she's being pursued for a performance rather than seen. Here's a scenario. A man comes home from work, tells his partner she looks great, tries to initiate closeness, and gets nothing back. Not coldness exactly, just absence. He assumes it's about him, maybe his body, maybe his effort. But that morning, she spent 20 minutes trying to tell him about something stressful at work, and he half listened while scrolling his phone. In her nervous system, that moment registered as, I am not fully here for you. The brake engaged hours before he ever touched her. This is cognitive dissonance in action. She can't logically reconcile he wants me physically with he wasn't present for me emotionally. Her body resolves that tension by shutting the accelerator off entirely. It's not a decision, it's automatic. And this is the behavior I promised to name earlier, the one that quietly kills desire while looking completely harmless. Half presence, being physically there but mentally elsewhere. Complimenting her looks while ignoring her words, reaching for her body before you've reached for her mind. It doesn't look like rejection from the outside, it looks like a normal Tuesday, but it's the single most common brake activator in long-term relationships, and almost no one names it because it doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like just life. Now that you understand the accelerator-brake model, let's talk about what you actually do with it. This isn't a list of tricks, it's a rebuild of how you show up. Step 1. Release the brake before you touch the accelerator. The action. Before initiating anything physical or romantic, spend focused, undistracted time with her where your only job is to be present. No phone. No half listening while thinking about your response. Actual attention. The psychology. Remember, the brake is more sensitive than the accelerator for most women. You can be the most charming man alive, but if the brake is engaged, none of it registers. Releasing the brake isn't optional groundwork. It's the actual foundation everything else sits on. The mistake, men skip straight to the accelerator. They try to be more romantic, more exciting, more attractive, while the brake is still fully engaged from something unresolved, a dismissive comment, a distracted conversation, an argument that got dropped instead of actually resolved. You cannot accelerate your way past an engaged brake. It doesn't work, and trying harder just makes it worse. Step 2. Make her feel chosen, not just wanted. The action. Verbally and behaviorally communicate that you value her specifically, her mind, her humor, her perspective, not just her body or the role she fills in your life. The psychology. Wanting someone physically is common. Feeling chosen as a whole person is rare, and it's what actually builds the emotional safety desire depends on. When a woman feels reduced to a physical presence, part of her withdraws to protect the parts of herself that feel invisible. The mistake, confusing physical compliments for emotional validation. You look amazing tonight is nice. It is not the same as the way you handled that situation today was impressive. One targets her body, the other targets her. You need both, but most men only ever offer the first. Step 3, build anticipation instead of demanding immediacy. The action. Create space between connection and physical escalation. A lingering look, a comment left unfinished. Time and tension, instead of rushing straight to the point. The psychology. Anticipation activates the accelerator gradually and safely. Desire that's rushed can trigger the brake because rushing can register, even subconsciously, as being about your need rather than a shared moment. The mistake, treating every warm moment as an immediate opportunity to escalate. This teaches her over time that closeness with you always comes with a demand attached, and she starts protecting herself by staying guarded, even when she wants closeness. Step 4. Repair conflict completely, not just quietly. The action. When something goes wrong between you, actually resolve it, name what happened, own your part, and check that she feels heard, instead of letting it fade into silence. The psychology. Unresolved conflict is one of the most powerful and long-lasting brake activators there is. Silence after a fight doesn't mean peace. It usually means the brake just stays engaged, sometimes for days, without either of you naming why. The mistake? Assuming time alone heals things. Time doesn't repair a rupture. Repair repairs a rupture. Without it, resentment quietly accumulates, and one day you're left wondering why the spark disappeared, with no idea it's been draining out for months. Step 5. Protect her nervous system, not just her feelings. The action: be consistent, predictable, emotionally regulated, especially under stress. Don't make her manage your moods on top of her own. The psychology. Safety isn't just about how you treat her when things are good, it's about how stable you are when things are hard. A nervous system that's constantly bracing for your next mood shift cannot relax into desire. It's too busy staying alert. The mistake: treating emotional regulation as her responsibility. If she has to constantly manage your reactions, there's no room left for her own desire to surface. She's too occupied keeping the peace. I know some of you watching this want a fast fix. You want to apply step 2 tonight and see a different woman by tomorrow morning. I understand that urge completely, but I need to be honest with you about something. The brake didn't get engaged in one night, and it will not release in one night either. If you've spent months, maybe years, operating off the old model, chasing the accelerator, skipping the groundwork, mistaking presence for a formality instead of a practice, then rebuilding safety is going to take consistency, not intensity. One good conversation will not undo a pattern, but 100 small moments of actually showing up, that rebuilds something real. This is where most men lose patience, and honestly, it's the exact place where most men lose the entire relationship too. They apply the steps for a week, don't see instant transformation, and quietly conclude it doesn't work. Or worse, that she's the problem. But you're not planting a seed and expecting a tree by morning. You're rebuilding trust in a nervous system that has learned through real experience to protect itself around you. Here's the reframe I want you to sit with. Her desire was never missing. It was never broken, and it was never gone. It was protected. Every break, every moment of withdrawal, every "I'm just tired." That wasn't rejection. That was a system doing exactly what it's designed to do, keeping something vulnerable safe until it has real evidence that it's safe to open up again. That means you're not trying to manufacture something that isn't there. You're trying to become someone that something already there feels safe enough to come back to. So stop measuring this week by week. Stop treating a quiet Tuesday as proof that nothing's changing. The accumulation is happening even when you can't see it. Every time you actually listen, every time you repair instead of retreat, every time you choose her mind and not just her presence, that's registering. Slowly, cumulatively, the way anything real does. And if you're in a relationship right now that feels far from this, I want you to hear this clearly. Understanding this doesn't mean you failed for not knowing it before. Almost nobody teaches men this. You were handed a model built for spontaneous desire and told it applied to everyone. It doesn't. Now you know better, and now you get to build differently. Desire isn't something you win, it's something you're trusted with. If this video shifted something in how you see this, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 5 steps you're going to start with this week. And if you want more of this, real psychology, not recycled advice, subscribe, because there's a lot more coming.